In this movie, I want to talk about how to extract quantity information from walls that have been placed on a drawing. And the assumption is that this is going to be a 3D operation, so we've drawn the walls using the wall tool, and the walls have a height, and in this particular case the height is being dictated by the layer height, the layer wall height, which you can see is 3 meters. If we edit this wall, you can see that's where that number has been entered. So the height of these walls is being controlled by that setting there. So there's a couple of different ways that you may want to list walls. One is that you'll just want to get the volume of all walls in a drawing, but you also typically might use a few different types of walls, or have different situations where you want to quantify walls differently. So you would split them up by class perhaps, and you'll see that this wall is in the wall external veneer class, these walls are in the wall external masonry class. You'll see that this wall here has a wall style of new brick veneer 250, and this has a wall style of new brick 230 external. So there are a few different ways that you can identify the objects that you want to quantify. And you can also choose whether or not wall openings, doors and windows are taken into account in terms of the area of a wall or the volume of a wall, or whether they're ignored. So let's initially assume that you just want to get the area of all of the walls, and when we talk about the area, we are talking about the surface area of one side of the wall. Okay, so if we wanted to see that in this cell here, we can just click in the cell, you type an equal sign, and then from this drop down menu here we can choose paste function, and we'll scroll down to the W area, and you can see here wall area gross and wall area net. Okay, so what we're going to do here is to go for wall area gross, click OK. And next we have to choose what criteria that we want to use for this. So initially let's go to paste criteria and go to type is wall. Click OK. You'll see it's found 4 walls. We have 4 walls in the drawing. Click OK. And we click the tick box here, and you'll see that it's returning this as the area. Now, if you want to see this a bit more accurately, we can go to Format Cells and click on Dimension Area. Click OK, and this cell will then get formatted in to match the settings in the document. And if we go to Document Settings, Units, and we were to set this back to 0.1 and set this to 0.1, click OK. And we recalculate this. You can see we're now getting 1 decimal place, and we're getting the square meter after the number. Now, let's say it wasn't. We want to narrow this down a bit more. So instead of having t equals wall in there, we'll just delete that to go back to where we were a moment ago. So the flashing cursor is between those 2 single brackets. Again, we'll go into here to paste criteria. And this time we'll choose wall style. But in this particular document, because the walls have a style and a separate class, we could also do the same thing using class. But we will use wall style, and then we'll choose brick veneer 250. And that's this wall here, or that style there. Notice now it says objects that meet the criteria is 1. Click OK, and click that tick box here, and it's 18 square meters. So that's the gross area of this wall. This wall is 6 meters long, 3 meters high, hence 18 square meters is the area. Now, if we were to change this here from wall area gross to wall area net, and click the tick here or hit return, we'll now get the area of the wall less the any doors or windows that it contains. So The other thing that is quite commonly done is that you will actually want to list all of the walls in a drawing and possibly show them individually, or then show them the volume or the area of them, and particularly in this wall here, because it has bricks on one in one cavity or one component, and it has brick veneer on the other. So let me just make a copy of this so that we've got a couple of them in the document. So if we wanted to list all of these walls and have each one listed in the list here, then what we do is we create a database row. So you mouse down in this one of the cells here and you choose database, and then you choose what objects you want to list. So for example, we could say I want to list all the objects on design layer 1, I want to list all the objects that are 3D polygon, a polyline, a rectangle. I want to list everything that's in this class. I want to list everything that has a particular record attached to it. I want to list everything that has a particular wall style, and so on. So for our purposes here, we're going to choose type is wall. And you'll see it's finding that there are 5 object types that match this criteria. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and you'll see that the this worksheet cell number 3, or row number 3, has expanded to list 5 columns here, and each one of those represents one of these walls that we have up here. Now, given that we've used wall styles for this, what we can do is initially get this these database rows here to tell us which wall style is being listed in each of these rows. So we do that by clicking in this column in the database header row, typing equals sign, going to paste function, and we'll scroll down to the bottom and you'll see there's one here called wall style name. And we click OK. Now we've already entered the criteria for what this is looking for. Remember, we already said this is listing everything that's the type is wall. So all we want now is for us to list the names, the wall style names of each of the walls. Click the tick box here and you'll see that we've got the names listed here now. And they'll be listed in the order that they were placed on the drawing. So this was the last one that we placed here. Okay, so if we now want to get, say, the area of these walls, then we can click in this cell here and type an equal sign, and again come up to the paste function, scroll down, and let's go for wall area net. Click OK and click the little tick box here, and we're getting the areas of these walls. So let's put in here the name or the wall type and the area. Now typically when you're doing this kind of thing, you don't want to have all of the walls listed. So you don't want to see a listing of every single wall, you just want to know the total area or the total quantity of this type of wall and this type of wall. And we can do that very simply if we select this particular row here and put the sum icon into the column that we want to summarize by, which in this case is the wall type column. And you'll see now this is shrunk down to just list the 2 of them, and it's giving the total area of each of those wall types in here. So if you wanted to do a calculation here, you know, because you knew that there were 12 bricks per square meter, then here you could put quantity, here you would put quantity, and then here you would put equals this cell here times however many bricks per square meter, I don't know, 15, and that's going to give you the quantity. Now we can format these obviously, so this is area here, so we could click in this cell or right click, choose Format Cells, click Area, click OK. These are just quantities, so we want whole numbers. So again, we'll go Format Cells, decimal, 0 decimal places, and we'll get the number of bricks. Now you may also want the volume of bricks, and this is can be done by using the wall component volume. So if we click in this cell here and type an equal sign, and then we come in here, go to paste function, and we go down to component area or component volume. Let's go for volume this time. Click OK. And when it's component volume, it wants to know the number, the component number of the wall. Now, the component number of the wall, if we look at one of these wall styles, so here's the brick veneer wall style. If we right click and choose edit on this, you'll see that these are the component numbers here. So if I were to list the external quantity, external brick quantity, I would put 1 for the component. The second component is the cavity. You don't want to list that. The number, if I use number 3, it would give me the volume of the studs, which I don't really want. So that's giving us the 1 for that one, and coincidentally, you'll find that this wall style also has a component cavity of a component in it, even though it's a solid wall, and it's also number 1. So that's why it's the volume is working in this particular case. So here we're getting the volumes from these walls. Again, if you wanted to format these, format cells, and dimension volume, click OK, and we're getting cubic meters. So you begin to see how this can work, and if you did want to get separate volume quantities for, you might have solid brick walls and brick veneer walls, for example, then you're going to have to separate these out into 2 different database worksheets, because the components for a solid brick wall, you're going to want to list the component number 1 and component number 3 to be able to get the volume of the components. So really, this is the basis of worksheets in Vectorworks. There are some other standard things that you can do. If you just want to get, for example, the class that an object is in, you can type equals C, and that's going to list the class that these objects are in. And there's various other ones as well, but basically this is how it can work. And you can also get areas from, rectangles and other things that you draw in the drawing, provided you have some criteria for selecting them. So by class or by fill color or line style or something like that.